Donald Trump has offered new details about his falling out with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, claiming he stole young women from the U.S. president's Mar-a-Lago club. It comes as Epstein's longtime associate, Ghislaine Maxwell, is seeking immunity from future prosecution as a condition for testifying to U.S. Congress. For more on this, I'm joined by Republican strategist and former Trump appointee to the State Department, Matthew Bartlett. Matthew, good to have you with us today. Now, there's been more and more claims coming from various sides over Jeffrey Epstein, and the president now coming out to say that Epstein had poached young women from Mar-a-Lago. Is this Donald Trump now definitively trying to create a greater distance between himself and Epstein?
Yes and no. This is a relationship that the president had with this very shadowy figure who committed some horrible crimes. But again, let's just be clear, Donald Trump was not ever accused of the wrongdoing. Yet again, some of these questions are lingering, are persistent, and now we're talking about staff and other disputes.
Yes, and as you made that very clear, but what do Republicans make of the clear contradictions that have come from the White House over the course of not just recently, but several years about the Epstein files and his so-called client list, about whether they exist in some form or the other?
It's mixed. Many in the MAGA coalition, the MAGA base, always viewed this with skepticism, deep skepticism about our government not telling us the full truth, and saw this as a pursuit of the truth. Yet recently, because of maybe the Wall Street Journal story, again, just some of the coverage has made this incredibly partisan, political now. Some feel as if the media are trying to target Donald Trump because of his past relationship. So it continues to be, again, a lingering, pressing headache, not just for the White House, but now in the political realm as well.
Yeah, we'll get to the Wall Street Journal just in a bit. But how does a president then calm down some of those sections in the MAGA base who are convinced of the conspiracy to cover up the powerful figures, allegedly clients of Epstein, and some of whom have been Donald Trump's biggest supporters, namely Joe Rogan, for instance?
It is very hard because so many of these outside critics, we're talking about figures at the FBI, Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, and then at Justice, Pam Bondi, the president's own children, fan the flames of this narrative outside on the campaign. Then in government, continue to propel this notion, and then to only say there is no story there. Let's remember, it was Elon Musk and his break with the White House and with Trump that kind of threw the original notion out there that Trump was in the Epstein files. So again, this is going to be very hard to placate everybody, knowing full well that even if you provide the truth, some may never believe it.
Yes, and do you expect Elon Musk, in trying to establish this third political party in the U.S., to perhaps continue this rhetoric for a while? Because he's been a bit quiet for, in recent weeks at least.
Yeah, it seems as if Elon Musk's political party may be a party of one. He may be on a planet of one, getting the ire of both liberal progressives and now MAGA conservatives. It is hard to say who a Elon candidate would be, much less an Elon voter.
Yes. Matthew, till a few weeks ago, it was absolutely inconceivable to think that a Republican president would even consider suing Rupert Murdoch. But that's what the President Trump is doing over that Wall Street Journal article that said that he had sent Epstein a letter on his birthday more than 20 years ago. How do you see this playing out?
Again, mixed. Let's remember, Rupert Murdoch, the owner of Fox News, of the Wall Street Journal, a legendary conservative newsman, was never, ever on good terms with Donald Trump. These are two different personalities that have clashed over even ideology. Rupert Murdoch being a much more traditional conservative, Donald Trump being a populist. Even the vice presidential pick was controversial in some of the News Corp and Rupert Murdoch corners. Certainly Tucker Carlson, an American conservative figure from Fox News. So you're seeing, again, it seems the Wall Street Journal is proceeding with journalism. You are seeing Fox News largely ignoring the story. Many members of the cabinet come from Fox News and continue to give positive coverage to the administration. But it seems as if this lawsuit is proceeding as well, and where the president could be having Rupert Murdoch sit for a deposition sometime very soon.
Yes, and so in this case, with a possible deposition, how high is the bar to prove that the Wall Street Journal did defame President Trump?
I am not an attorney, but it is my understanding that it is quite difficult to prove that you purposefully published false information in order to denigrate a reputation. So again, very, very difficult. Yet we're seeing many institutions, whether they are academic, news, across all sorts of society, settle with the president. He has been very litigious of recent and working in his favor. So it is hard to see how this goes from there.
And you alluded to something earlier, but News Corp is a powerful force and has been in U.S. politics for quite some time. So from President Trump's point of view, locking horns with Rupert Murdoch, how big a risk does that pose in terms of news coverage coming up at least now next year with the midterms?
Again, I don't think the president is ever unhappy to shy away from a fight. He has taken on nearly everyone, and he and his coalition come out on the winning end often. So when it comes to Fox News, I think you will continue to see the same positive coverage. Goes to ratings, goes to audiences. When it comes to the Wall Street Journal, I think you will continue to see an articulate, more traditional conservative tone. And certainly when it comes to their journalism, they have some fine reporters. I can think they will continue to do excellent journalism. And we'll see how the midterms shake out from there.
Just going back to Epstein just briefly, separately, Ghislaine Maxwell, she's being subpoenaed by Congress to testify. Now, she's seeking legal protections, perhaps even considering a presidential pardon. Will the president ever consider something like that, given the serious nature of the crimes she has committed and be convicted for?
Again, she her attorneys made some demands of Congress around her testimony. It seems as if that was a non-starter with Congress. The president has said, listen, I can pardon her. That isn't within my powers. Some people are thinking this could be a trial balloon, but I don't think there are many, if any, that believe, someone who's committed and enabled such horrific crimes should ever be pardoned. Again, a notion of pursuing the truth. She may be the one person, still alive behind bars who can provide some answers as to who was Jeffrey Epstein? How did he amass such a fortune? What did he do with his powerful friends in terms of, again, horrific sex crimes? Who else was involved? She could have some information, but this all could be a ploy just for her own interests as well.
Okay, Matthew Bartlett, really good to speak with you today. Thank you so much for your time.